Did you know there's a few right ways to reach out to an influencer, and there are a lot of wrong ways to do it? Well, today on the Coffee and Kidlit Show, I talked to new children's book author Hannah Jessen Conway about her book, Love Sounds Like. And she is actually a marketer. She works for a marketing agency. And she included something in her book that is called an influencer kit or a card introducing her influencer kit. So I'm going to talk to her a little bit today about how she used her kit and how you can use an influencer kit for your book as well. Thank you for watching the Coffee and Kidlit Show. Welcome to the show. It's been a while since I have added an episode for this show. I've been doing a little bit of other videos related to self publishing, so it's fun to get back into this interview format. And I hope you enjoy this discussion today with Hannah. Give it a watch. Hannah, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you could join me.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So we have a lot in common. We were just talking about that before we hit record. First of all, we're both lovers of Jesus,
Yeah.
and we're from the same town.
Yes, we
Didn't
are.
even realize that until just now. I knew we were both from North Carolina, but
Yeah.
we're actually both from Wilmington.
Yeah.
Also, that's
I
awesome.
know. So cool. Great little
Beautiful
spot.
town.
So
Of
beautiful.
course, I was telling you I haven't lived there in over a decade, but I still consider it, home and love the town. And of course, you're not in Wilmington now. Where are you now?
I am in Raleigh, North Carolina, actually just outside of it in another small town called Apex, North Carolina. But
Yeah,
went to school in Chapel Hill. So we've been in this area for over a decade as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. So give me just a little bit of your background. And another thing we have in common is we are both parents of kids with cochlear implants.
Yep.
And so we're going to be touching a little bit on that with your book, but give us a little bit of your background and just tell us a little bit of your story.
Sure. Yeah. So, as you said, I grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina, and then I went to school in Chapel Hill. Go Tar Heels! Got a big game tonight. I met my husband there, and we got married a few years out of college. I studied marketing and Spanish, so always had a love of writing and other languages, which has come in handy as of late. Got married a few years out of college. We lived in Washington, D.C. for a while. I worked for a nonprofit in Pierce. My husband was a teacher up there. And then we relocated to the Raleigh area because our families are here. And we've been here about 7 or 8 years now, close to that. Um, since then, we have had two boys. My oldest is almost 3. His name is Jessen, which is my maiden name. So you'll see that on the cover of the book. And then my second son is Shepherd, who you will hear his name throughout the book because the story was actually inspired by him. He was born in December 2023 and he is deaf and wears cochlear implants now, as Travis said. So he was an inspiration for the book, which I know we'll talk more about. I also work part time in nonprofit marketing and then stay home with the boys the rest of the time. So I like to say I'm a stay at home mom by day and a writer by nap time and bedtime.
Yeah,
Yeah, try to fit it all in.
I'm sure that's a nice combination. You're not fully away from home, all day every day, but you're able to be home with your boys
Yes.
and interact with them a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm grateful to have that time with them. It's very draining at times, and I do love to work. So it's nice to have that balance, as you said. I think I would go a little
Yeah.
crazy if I were with them all the time. I love them,
Right.
but it's a lot. Two, yeah, 3 and 1. So they're busy.
Oh yeah. Two young kids.
What's that?
Two young kids.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you mentioned that you're in marketing, and so we're actually going to touch on that a bit as well because part of what you've done so well is market your book, both probably before and after it launched.
Oh,
So we'll get into that. But first of all, tell us first of all, the name of your book is Love Sounds Like.
yes.
Tell us sort of the background behind that book and Actually, I have my copy right here, so everyone
Yes,
can
which you brought
make
to
their own.
life. You got to claim some credit.
There, trying to find. There it is. Okay, I moved my camera, so it's not exactly where I usually have it. Yeah, love sounds like. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so like I said, my second son, Shepherd, was born deaf in December of 2023. He failed his first hearing test in the hospital, and by the time he was 3 weeks old, we had learned that he was profoundly deaf in both ears. He couldn't hear a thing. And that caught us off guard, as I know is the story for many families who go through this. There's nobody else in our family who is deaf, and so we really were surprised and saddened by it at first. But thankfully, over the course of the last year and few months, we have learned so much about deaf culture. We started learning sign language. We began the journey of seeing if he was a candidate for cochlear implants. And then last September, he got his implants. So he can access sound now, but we have continued with sign language. So it started out a journey of grief, honestly, of what we thought life was going to be like. And it has turned into this beautiful gift. And we just have no doubt that he is exactly who he is supposed to be and who he was created to be. But the idea for the book came very early on in those early diagnosis days that felt very scary and uncertain. I remember he was crying one night and I was trying to soothe him. I was shushing him. I was singing to him. And it just hit me. I was like, he can't hear me. And so I started crying too. And my husband was just like, he can't hear you, but he can feel your love. He knows that he's safe with you. He knows that you love him and that he's safe with you. He's safe in your arms. And that was the start of the idea for this book, that love isn't defined by our abilities and that there are myriad ways we can show it without ever saying or hearing the words "I love you." And so that writing a children's book is always something I've wanted to do. And I work in marketing, so I write all the time, but always for other people. And so this felt like, yeah, the right opportunity to seize and to share our story and to encourage other families who are maybe going through something similar. So, yeah, that's where the idea of love sounds like came from. That love is much more than a sound, and it's not just saying and hearing the words, I love you.
Absolutely, and I love that because our my daughter was also born deaf, so it was quite a shock for us as well. We don't have anyone in our family who was deaf, and I I really I get the fact that you were very saddened by the fact that he couldn't hear you in those early
Yeah.
months, especially. And I remember kind of dealing with that myself. And I used to love to sing to our first child,
Mhm.
Aiden. And so when it came time, for us to rock Esther to sleep and sing to her, it was kind of a challenge to think about that. But at the same time, I just sang anyways, because
Yeah,
like you said, that love can be felt, and even the vibration of singing and things like that can be felt. And so yeah.
yeah,
So give us just sort of a short synopsis of Love Sounds Like. What's the book about exactly?
for sure. So it is about a little deaf boy named Shepherd, again inspired by my son, and he has cochlear implants in the story. He's probably like 6 years old, so a little bit older than my 1 year old. But even though the story features a deaf main character, it's not ultimately about his deafness. That is a part of it, but it's not the focal point of the story. So one night before he's going to bed, he asks his mom what love sounds like. And really, the question behind the question is, when I'm not wearing my cochlear implants, how will I still feel love? How will I still know it's there when I can't hear you say I love you? And so, through a rhyming story, because I love rhyming books, through a rhyming story, the mom and her son go on this journey of the senses, essentially the five senses, and they discuss not just what love sounds like, but what it tastes like, looks like, feels like, and smells like. Did I get them all? Yeah.
Think
Um,
so.
And so it's a really fun and playful dialogue. They kind of go back and forth and brainstorm together. You know, love smells like the flowers that dad buys the mom at the store, and it feels like on this page the dog's fur, and when he's snuggled up at your feet. Um, and they talk about what it tastes like, that it tastes like s'mores when you're sitting around a campfire with your family and you feel so cozy and loved, and you're looking at a beautiful moon, and in those moments you just feel loved by your family and also by God. I wanted nature to be a big theme in it because I feel like
Um,
that's one of the ways that God reveals his love to us, and so that's a big theme throughout the book as well. So they go through this whole journey of the five senses and the different ways we experience love. And really, the crux of the story, not to spoil it, is just the idea that love is much more than a sound. It's not just heard, it's not just smelled, it's not just touched. It's really just something that we know deep in our soul. And it's not limited to any of the senses, it's not limited by our abilities. It's a gift, and it's something that we are privileged to experience. And so the mom kind of walks away from the conversation learning something as well.
hmm.
Um, yeah, so it was really fun to put together and to brainstorm all the different ways we experience love. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just kind of scrolling through some of the images while you talked there, and the one with them around the campfire is probably my favorite illustration in the
Yes,
book. It's
mine
just
too.
so colorful and bright, wonderful uh, spread there, and I just love how you sort of touch on all the different senses and how love is shown through all of those. There was one specific quote in the book that I wanted to pull up, and it's this page here. And what the mom says to the boy is, "Love that is true is much more than a sound."
Hmm.
Um, I love that quote. Could you just kind of describe a little bit about what the message was, not only behind that quote, but really the whole book itself? And
Yeah.
you kind of shared a little bit, but do you have anything more to say about that?
Yeah, no, I can share more. That line has become like the mantra of the book, which is funny because it wasn't really a focal point. And I don't know if you remember this when you were designing the book, but there actually was a different ending for the book. And then, truly, like so close to publishing time, I switched it around so that the final lines in the book were exactly that. She echoes, "Love is much more than a sound, after all." And I think that has just become something that has really encouraged me over the last year. Like I shared, at first, it was really hard knowing that Shepherd couldn't hear me, but it encouraged us to think outside the box and figure out other ways to show that we love him. And even with our older son too, it's opened up conversations about how love isn't just saying "I love you." You know, anybody can be like "I love you," and not really mean it. Kind of like when we tell him to say "I'm sorry," and he's like "sorry," but he doesn't mean
Yeah.
it. And so it's really encouraged us to think about what love really means, and it's not just superficial. It's not just words. It's not just language. Even it's showing love and it's receiving it, and it's yeah, just so much deeper than the words itself. um, and like I said, or we talked about at the beginning, I'm a believer too, and I personally have never heard the audible voice of God. Maybe one day I will. But I know that God loves me and that He loves my family. And He shows me in a million ways every single day. And I don't ever hear His voice, but I know deeply that He loves me. And so that's not explicitly stated in the book. That's another level. We're getting a little meta, but
Right, right.
yeah, but that's really like when I think about what the book means to me, it's a deeper meaning of not just how I want to show love to my kids, but how I feel loved by God, and that I hope they one day realize that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. I think, one of the things that I have really tried to remind myself about Esther is that my prayer from the very beginning was that she hears God's voice louder than anything else.
I love that.
Ball one.
That's so
So,
much.
yeah, just having these kids in our lives brings forth so many realizations about God that
Yes.
may have never had otherwise.
Yes,
Um,
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
I feel that with both of my boys. I know the book is inspired by Shepherd, but there's an older brother in the book, and I hope Jessen feels that as well, because that's my hope and my prayer for him as well, that he just knows how deeply loved he is. Yeah.
Mm,
But yeah, no,
yeah.
you're so right. They teach us so much. Sometimes they're hard lessons.
Right. And sometimes there are lessons I need to hear over and over and over again.
Mhm.
But like patience.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Yeah. So what's been some of the feedback that you have received from your readers, whether they're families with deaf children or otherwise?
Oh my goodness, it's been incredible. It's been so much better than I thought.
Yeah.
At first I was like, we always said, like, we're not trying to get rich off this book. We don't, that's not our motivation. And if it's something that just our family enjoys, if it's a gift that our boys are going to have growing up, that's fine. Like, that is enough for me. Um, but we have been blown away by the number of people who have not only bought the book, but have taken the time to reach out to me and share what it meant to them. It's made me feel less alone to know that there are thousands and thousands of parents across the country, across the world, who are going through something similar, and not just kids with hearing loss. It's kids who have other medical conditions or special abilities, or kids who are like Jessen and are hearing, and they still resonate with the story. And so I've had so many parents reach out and thank me for writing the book, but also say, like, I remember those early days, how scary it was. I remember, being scared that I wasn't going to be able to communicate my love with them. And a lot of people have said, by the time they get to the end of the book, they're crying. And so I always, I feel kind of bad about that. But then I always joke, I'm like, well, I cried a lot while writing it. So I guess it's fair that you cry while reading it. No, but that's not the goal, to make people feel sad, but rather to move them and encourage them to maybe think about the ways that they can show love in their own lives. So I've been, really humbled and overwhelmed by the response that I've gotten, and it's yeah, it has encouraged me 10 times over what I think I've been able to do with this book, and encouraging others. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
so grateful
That's
for it.
really awesome. That's
Yeah.
really nice. So we're going to get into some questions here that's more related to us as authors, and I want to ask some questions that may relate to the author who is watching this interview. But first of
Yeah.
all, I want to let anyone watching, I want to let you know that I'm writing a book for authors, for indie authors, especially children's book authors, to sort of teach the process of publishing and self-publishing. And the book is written, and I'm in the last stages of getting it edited and all of that. So I hope to have it out later this year. It's called the Indie Authors Dozen. And so if you want to sort of get a sneak peek of the introduction chapter, you can go to indieauthorsdozen.com to download that, and you can join my beta team and get early access to the rest of the book and all that before it comes out. So I just wanted to mention that before we get started. And Hannah, you had, when you sent me your book, you had something in the package that really caught my eye,
Mhm.
and I thought it was such a cool addition. First of all, so here's what you included. It's the influencer kit,
Yeah,
two-page, like postcard sized piece of paper. And thank you for calling me an influencer.
you're
That's
welcome.
good compliment. I don't know if I would consider myself one, but I like it. So I'm going to claim that.
There you go.
Um,
On your resume.
so you mentioned on your target, you mentioned on the card that your target audience is families with children who experience the world differently. I love the way you worded that,
Thank
by
you.
the way. Could you explain what that means to you? And if you can, just tell us what you're doing specifically to reach out to those families.
Yeah, so my target audience from the start was parents of children like Shepherd who are deaf or hard of hearing. But then quickly, as I wrote the story, I realized that even though the main character has cochlear implants, it's not just a story about deafness. Whether your child is deaf or hearing, or like I said, has other special abilities or conditions or needs additional medical support, whatever it is, your kid will ultimately experience the world a little bit differently from you, and that's okay. It would be really boring if we all lived the same way. Um, and so I really wanted to encourage parents that even if your child has these unique challenges or abilities, or they see the world differently from you, that's okay because you can still let them know that they are deeply loved and accepted for exactly who they are. And
Well,
so it really started with parents of children who have hearing loss because that's, the main character in the book. But like I said, I believe the book's message resonates with a much wider audience of children who are deaf, hearing, and whatever else is going on in their lives. Because the main point is that love isn't limited by our abilities. We don't have to experience it the same way to know that we're loved. And so that was kind of how my target audience broadened a little bit. And then your second question was how I'm reaching that audience specifically.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, so specifically with the hearing loss community, when we learned Shepherd was deaf, I joined a lot of Facebook groups to get information, resources, hear about other people's stories, which helped me feel, less alone in the journey and to see other people who had gone before me. And so that was one of the first places I turned when sharing about the book because I knew it would resonate with them most deeply. But then outside of that, I started to think about so that's my target audience. Who else is trying to reach my target audience and how do I reach them? And so I took it a level further, and it wasn't just the kid or the parents of deaf and hard of hearing children. It was the SLPs who are working with them, the speech language pathologists. It was teachers, special education teachers, teachers of the deaf and hard of hearing. It was ENTs and pediatric audiologists who maybe do testing for these kids. It was physical therapists who work with children who might have a physical disability. So when I started to broaden my horizons and think about not just the people I'm trying to reach, but the people who are trying to reach them, if that makes sense, that's when my book really like took off because I started posting in those Facebook groups as well. I started using specific hashtags for that. And I asked, just with our network here, Shepherd has those teachers. And so I started with them. I said, what conferences are out there? What nonprofits work with children like this? He goes to a cochlear implant center here. So I donated a bunch of copies of the book to them. That's when I feel like the book got a lot of traction because it wasn't just going directly to the parents, it was going to the people who also want to serve and empower those parents. Um, and I mean, teachers are also just incredible. I'm married to one, or former teacher, so I know I'm biased. But when they learned about this book and that it was about the five senses and that it had an ASL alphabet and stuff like that in the back, they were so excited to, get it in their classroom, to have it at their center. And that was really exciting to see. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love, what you're talking about the target audience because that's something that I try to teach to my authors is to think about what I call the bullseye audience. So if you think of a full target, the bullseye is like the very center, and that should really be your goal. You want to find the people who are
Yeah.
most hungry for your book, and in your case and mine as well, it's those families with deaf children who have hearing devices. But then you also have these larger audiences that may not be as hungry, but they'll still be attracted. They'll still be interested in
Yeah.
what you have. So it's those other, families with other disabilities or what have you, or, like you said, maybe these different professionals that work with children with different challenges. So I think that's really awesome that you're thinking about these different audiences that are still related and still interested in your topic.
Yeah.
So where did you now you have a background in marketing, but where did you get this idea for the influencer kit?
So it was kind of a combination. I did a self-publishing course last year with April Cox, and she talked a lot about influencers. And so that's kind of where the idea was born. But it really came from the fact that like I am my target audience with this book, and I follow as soon as we learned Shepherd was deaf, I went on Instagram and I was like, I got to follow all of these other like influencer parents who have deaf children. I got to see what they're doing. I got to see how they like keep these things on their head. I got to see how they like clean them at night, and especially with sign language, like I use that. I use social media as a way to like practice signs and see how other parents were doing sign or learning sign language alongside their children.
Yeah.
So I even before the idea for the book was born, I just followed all these influencers because I wanted to learn. And so when the book came out, or before a little bit before it came out, I was like, I need to figure out a way to get on these people's radars. I need to get them a copy of the book, not just purely selfish motivations of like share this with your 100,000 followers, but also because they have deaf children and I think they would really love the story. And they and in all of my um, DMs to reach out to them, I always thanked them for all the content that they had given to me,
Wow.
and all the encouragement that they had given me as a mom of a deaf child. And so I tried to position it that way. Like, y'all have given so much of your time and energy and content to me, and your open honesty about what life is like for you. The least I can do is send you a book. And if you want to share it with your followers, here's how. And that's why I included the influencer kit with it, so that they had all the information. They had text to use. They had my handles, and they had a little bit of the why behind the story. It wasn't just share this so a bunch of people buy my book. It's share this because we're trying to reach and encourage the same people. And so, yeah, I just started going down the list based on my own social media, who I followed and who had really encouraged me. And I reached out to them. Some of them got back to me and some of them didn't, and that's okay. Um, but it was easier in some ways, like I said, because I am my target audience. And so I already had a pretty good idea of who I wanted to reach out to.
Yeah. And I just wanted to just sort of mention what you have on the card
Sure.
specifically because I think someone who's watching may decide that this could really help them as well. So this is your influencer kit, and on the front side you have sort of just your background, your bio. You might say you mentioned how they could where they come in. So they're you're just kind of mentioning, okay, this isn't me just giving you a book. I'm inviting you to be a part of the story, and so on the back, then you have three different sort of ways that they can be involved.
Yep.
They can read the book, and you have a barcode to the Amazon listing where they can purchase it. You have a way for them to review the book. Um, and then also, I really like this third one, how they can sort of just share on social media about the book. And you even gave them sort of a template
Yep.
post to use, and I think that's so great because it makes it so easy
Yep.
for those of them, they may not want to take the time to write out the text, so you give it to them right away. They don't have to think about it. Such an easy way to share the word of your book.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And with each of those, I would send it in a nice envelope. I send a hardcover copy of the book, as you know. So it's the paperbacks are nice too, but hardcover, there's just something about it.
Oh yeah.
And then for a lot of them, I included like a personal card as well, where I would write something, if it was something specific that they had shared. Like I remember one author. Another author, Bethan Coop, is her Instagram account. She was the first person I followed after I learned Shepherd was deaf. And I told her that. I was like, you didn't realize it, but you were one of the first people I turned to. And so I wanted to thank her. So I tried to add a personal touch to it as well. But you're right. I wanted to make it easy for them, and also make it no pressure. Like if, hey, you don't want to share this, it's okay. Like I genuinely hope you enjoy the book and that your kids enjoy it. But like I said, I work in nonprofit marketing, so we are always trying to think about how to make it easy for people to donate. We don't want to have all these roadblocks in the way because they'll trickle off. And so that was kind of my thinking with the influencer kit as well. Like, I'm not at the top of their priority list, which is fine. So how do I make it as easy as possible for them to share? And so many of
Yeah.
them did, which has been awesome to see. Yeah, I was surprised again at the reception there.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I like that make it as easy as possible. I think that's probably the lesson of the day from this video. So
Mhm.
that's really great. Do you have any just final words for uh, first-time indie authors or children's book authors in general?
Find your niche, your target audience, and then think outside of the box. I hadn't thought about going and posting in Facebook groups. It's kind of cringy to me. um, but that is how I've gotten so much traction. I'm not a big Facebook user, and so I guess I just underestimated its power. But April, during her self publishing course, pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed it. And so finally I was like, fine, I will try it. Um, and I did. And truly, I started with my launch team, asking people to join my launch team. And I posted in a handful of Facebook groups for parents and also for like professionals who work with deaf and hard of hearing children, and just asked them to join my launch team. And I had close to 500 signups within a week. And
Wow.
I was like, April, you are a wizard, because I almost did not look in Facebook groups because, like I said, it felt awkward. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be that girl, like chiming in these groups. But that's what they're there for. And people really resonated with it. So I would say don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zones and try something that maybe feels a little awkward and a little cringy, because it might just end up being the ticket for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of Facebook groups tend to gatekeep what you could share, especially links and things like that. How did you get past that?
So I came up with like a list. I did research on all of these different Facebook groups. One's for parents, one's for SLPs, for teachers of the deaf, for special education teachers, and organized it. And then I went and looked at their admin rules because I didn't want to, like, again, step on any toes. And some of them had like a hard line, like no links, no, trying to promote your own content. And so I just, slashed those out on my list and said, that's
Mhm.
okay. Won't worry about it there. But for the others, I either checked with the moderator first, like DM'd them and was just like, hey, I'm an author. I have this book coming out. I think it would resonate with your audience because XYZ. Would you be open to me sharing about it? And probably 90% of them said absolutely. So I think it helped kind of connecting with the person behind the group. So it wasn't just me like randomly, you know, dropping in and being like, buy my book. And I also was really intentional about when I posted. I waited until the Kindle was free on Amazon. That way, it wasn't like a hard go buy this $13.99 book. It was, hi, I'm an author. I have a child who's deaf, like the kids you work with. I wrote this book. It's actually free on Amazon for the next 2 days. I would love for y'all to check it out. And then I just left it at that. It wasn't, hey, buy my book, or, buy 20 copies to give to your class. It was simply, hey, I have this great book. I think the people you work with or your children would love it. I would love for you to enjoy it for free. It's free for the next 48 hours, so get on it. So I was intentional to not just like bomb them with buy my book. It was me giving them something in return, knowing that a lot of them would turn around and buy the hardback copy, which they did.
Right.
So I guess you have to be a little sneaky about it, but not like in a malicious way. But you do have to like kind of abide by the rules. But I think reaching out to the moderator is really helpful. A lot of them really appreciated that, and then giving something in return. It's not just asking them to buy something. It's saying, hey, I have something for y'all. So I waited till the ebook was free. I have an activity book that you can download in the back of the book, and so there was another post where I was like, hey, y'all can go on my website right now and download this for free. You don't even have to buy the book. And a lot of people did that, and then they became interested in the book. So every time I posted, I was trying to give them something instead of just taking, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I really like that advice to reach out to the admin. I think many of us, including myself, we kind of go by that rule that it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. But
Yeah.
I think in this case, with, doing any kind of promotional thing for your book in a Facebook group, especially, to ask for permission first from the admins. I think that's great, great advice,
Yeah.
because I have been shut down before for
Yeah.
sharing things that I shouldn't have.
Same.
So, yeah, absolutely. So, Hannah, it's a beautiful book. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What's next? Do you have any sneak peeks for us? Any exciting news to share? What's
Nothing
going on?
too crazy. I definitely want to write more books in the future. I think I'm realizing that this can be more of a career than I thought. Like I said, it's something I always wanted to do. If I was when I was little, I volunteered at the library. I read constantly. If you'd asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would have said a veterinarian or an author. So it's just always been something that I've wanted to do. And I think the success of this book and just seeing how it resonated with people has shown me like, okay, you can do this. You can, not be a millionaire off of it, but you can do it and have fun with it and not go broke at the same time. And so I definitely want to write more in the future. I have one in the works in terms of like the writing and editing stage.
Yeah,
And I haven't decided. There's a couple in the works. I don't know if I want to do another one yet that features a deaf child. I kind of want to take a different approach, still focusing on like a family connection. I think that's always going to be a big theme in my books. This one was a conversation between a mother and her son.
yeah,
And so for the next one, I'm thinking it's going to be about a granddaughter and her grandfather.
good.
Um, so a little bit different, and I won't say too much because it's like very, very early stages. Like I think next year is probably a more realistic timeline of when I'm going to start moving on it. But
Sure.
yeah, it's in the works, and I want to do more books. I'm going to keep going with it because it's been so fun, and now I feel like I have one under my belt, and so might as well keep going.
So, who was it? Was it Lay's potato chips? I bet you can't eat just one. Is that
Yeah,
the same for writing children's books? I
true. You
bet you
can't
can't write just one.
me. Yeah, well, part of me is like, I learned all this stuff. I learned about KDP and I have the templates for influencer kits and I understand I have all like my spreadsheets. Like I know how to do it now, more or less. I mean, there's always more learning you can do. But I'm like, it kind of feels like a waste to not like keep going with it or to not share it with other people like on platforms like this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, Hannah, where can the person watching reach you, or how can they connect with you?
Yeah. I my website is probably like the one-stop shop for everyone. It's hjconway.com. You can order copies of my book there. You can learn about me. I have other writing on there, like blogs and stuff. Um, and then I'm also on Facebook, as we know, which I'm not as great at. But Instagram is really where I share a lot more content about my life, about Shepherd, like I said, about other writing or publications that I have out there. And it's just Hannah underscore Jessen underscore Conway. So my name as it is on the book. But my website is probably the easiest place to find me and to reach out to me. The book is on, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all the normal places you can find a book. And yeah, I would love to hear from y'all. I'm always happy to talk, not just about the book, but about marketing as well. Like I said, it's my background and I got to do a lot of it with the book as well. So I'm always happy to talk to other authors and share what knowledge I have gained over the last year. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Hannah, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And I just want to invite anyone who's watching, if you like the idea of an influencer kit for your book, drop a comment below and just let us know what you might include in it and what kind of details you might have on there. Feel free to ask a question about the process of including an influencer kit, and be sure to hit the subscribe button and like button and all that good stuff. Follow along. I love to bring on authors like Hannah to talk about their book, to talk about their story behind the story, and just have fun getting to know what inspired them. So, Hannah, again, thank you so much. It's been great talking to you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And for anyone watching, just a quick reminder, you can go to indieauthorsdozen.com to grab the first chapter, the introduction chapter to my brand new book for authors. So hopefully you'll grab that, and I think you'll really get a lot out of this new book that's coming out soon.